side of the ball, they call him over to the offensive side. Go to the meeting. Go to the officer meeting. It's like he's gonna play running back. He's gonna play receiver. He's gonna play some DB. But he's gonna get the ball whenever we can get him the ball.
He really said he would take his money out of the program?
Take his money out of the program if Devin Hester didn't play or start.
And then if you play 12 or 15 other plays, you don't have the same, get up and go. It takes away from the kicking, from the returns.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And you tweeted something at us not too long ago, comparing the Roscoe Parrish and Devin Hester. Was Roscoe Parrish there for 2004?
Yeah, he was.
Okay. Because Roscoe Parrish, Canes fans remember him, and in my personal opinion, Hester obviously, had the better career, but Roscoe Parrish was one of the more exciting players that we've seen. Talk about Roscoe Parrish as a player.
Oh, Roscoe was a dynamic player, a guy who, he had that breakaway speed. He was, a good route runner, got in and out of cuts. Just one of those all around, those small guys that you hate to guard in the slot. One of those guys.
When I think of Roscoe, I think of him, taking a reverse and taking it to the house. I also I'm ashamed to say it. The one play that I remember was at FSU in 2003 in the rain when he got hit so hard. Yeah. He did a helicopter in the air, and I thought he might still be laying dead in Tallahassee right now.
I remember that hit. And Brock set him up. That was a bad throw by Brock, though.
Dude, that's what we call a hospital pass in football.
Yeah, he shouldn't have threw it. I was at home watching that game, and I was like, dude, don't throw the ball. Oh!
He got a collapsed lung, right?
I think so. I think he had something. I think he was out for the rest of the game. I know that much, but
yeah, I think he did because when I lived in Tallahassee, people would always talk about that hit, and I'm pretty sure that he was transferred to the hospital right there. So that's crazy. Did you have many interactions with Nevin Shapiro, Lavon?
I didn't have many with him. No, I didn't have not just maybe in passing through the locker room and at the OB. That's about it. Other than that, I didn't have many. But I just knew guys who were dealing with him that were getting extra perks, whatever.
Chip, what are your thoughts on our boy Nevin?
Jeez, what a rat, yeah. I did a documentary about the final year of the Orange Bowl, where I went to the games and interviewed people and stuff. And the one thing that surprised me so much about being on the sideline and everything is how many hangers on there are on the program. Like, we're used to seeing Sapp and Ray Lewis and those guys on the sideline because TV shows them. But there's a whole bunch of dudes that were on the sideline that you were like, why is this guy on the sideline? Why is he here? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Nevin had his own press box area. That's at the OB, and the OB didn't have that many press box.
No.
He had his own area up there. He had field access and everything. It was like he was a part of the program without being paid by the program.
Jeez.
And that should have been so obvious for the people in control to see that. You know what I mean? Like, people have a good instinct on who the right guy is and the wrong guy is, and I'm sure a whole bunch of people knew that, like, this guy does not need to be around these kids, but because he was stroking checks, they looked the other way, and that's terrible.
Well, and I was just about to ask Chip and Lavon, is like, why? How did a guy like that just slip through the cracks for that long? Is it just because of the money situation or what?
He was paying. When you able to write Donna Shalala check, big money check, she can turn her head and not even see you. When you're able to write a big check to the football program, to the whole athletic program, and everybody just turn their head. He was writing these elaborate checks, and had when guys came on recruiting visits, big time guys, he was taking them out, to the clubs, and they were getting everything they wanted, anything they wanted, and it was just like, hey, he's helping us.
Yeah.
And South Florida, unlike Salt Lake City, Miami and South Florida rewards notoriety.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we represent for Scarface. We represent for Luke. And, like, the notorious lifestyle gets rewarded in South Florida.
Yep.
That doesn't, like, happen. It happens in other places, but it happens, like, the most in Miami, where it's like, oh, you want to, are you a tough guy? Are you a bad dude? It gets rewarded here.
Yep.
Lavon, when you were at Miami, was there one big time recruit that came in for a visit that you were like, oh man, like these are exciting times, like this is a guy that we have to get, that just had a lot of buzz around him?
One of the guys that I had that I hosted was Adamakan Sue. I hosted him there at Miami.
Well,
oh wow, nice.
There.
Who else came in? That was big time. Oh, I was there when Shady McCoy and Greg Cooper came in at the same time. Funny story. The reason Shady didn't come back to Miami after he had to go to prep school is because Greg started over him at prep school and he didn't want a competition.
Really?
Yep.
Man, Greg is one of like my all-time favorite Canes that I guess didn't really his football career didn't pan out. I mean, is that the right way to say it? I mean, I loved him while he was on the team. He was my favorite player the years he was there. And like, man, it just sucks that we didn't get a long NFL career of Greg Cooper.
But yeah, him and Shady actually went to the same prep school after they didn't qualify their first year. They were supposed to come in, I believe, 2006. Both of them supposed to came in together, but they both didn't qualify. So they went to prep school, and Greg started over Shady, and Shady went to Pittsburgh, and Greg went to Miami.
Yeah, Cooper and Javaris James. That's one of the more forgotten duos in the back.
Yeah.
The Hurricanes. I have to ask you this, Lavon, and I didn't ask you last time out of respect for this guy. Tell me about Kyle Wright, because I mean, I am very critical of his time at Miami, and obviously there was a whole lot of other things going around. I was a younger fan. I didn't really understand what was going on and things like that. Talk about Kyle Wright as a quarterback.
As a quarterback, he had all the tools. I mean, big arm, nice vision, accuracy. But the thing is, he had his 4 years there. He had 3 different offensive coordinators. So it was like buying a stick shift and trying to drive a stick shift after you had a big concussion and forgot how to drive.
Yeah.
So, but he had all the tools, and then he got injured one camp, and that's when Kirby Freeman started those couple of games to begin the season. I think that was 2007. Kirby started beginning of 2007.
Well, I remember Kirby was the quarterback. I think Kirby was the starting quarterback when we went up to Oklahoma. Yep. That was a rough game. What was Kyle Wright as a teammate?
He was a good guy. Guy that cared about everybody, made sure everybody was right. Guy who was fun guy to be around. Always smiling. Always joking. One of the guys, really.
And I know I'm kind of talking over Jordan and Chip right now. Let me ask about one more guy, then I'll let these guys ask some questions. One of my favorite Hurricanes growing up, and rest his soul, Tyrone Moss. What talk about his time as a Hurricanes running back, and were you close with him at all?
Tyrone, he came in a year before me, so he was a guy a year before me. But when I met him, he was cool guy, laid back. He didn't say much, but he was a guy he learned a lot from Frank. Put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
In his first 2 years.
Yeah.
He learned a lot from Frank, and that's where you saw it come out on the field with his running style, behind his shoulder pads, running guys over. He was a real good guy, Always, making sure everybody in the locker room was okay. Checking on his running back. He was like that. When he got older, he was like their grandfather in the running back room. Make sure everybody was right. But he was always, the old guy. He kind of got hurt sometimes, so they're like, "Oh, look at Grandpa." But he was that guy that took care of everybody.
Absolutely. One of the most incredible plays I've ever seen was his run against Virginia Tech in 2006, fourth quarter. I think we're at like midfield or something like that. He goes up like 3 yards, swarmed by defenders, somehow breaks loose for a long touchdown. It was incredible. And too bad we lost that game, but
yeah, I remember that game, man. Brandon Orr tore us up. I remember that game. Yeah, Brandon Orr had, I think he went for almost 200 yards rushing that game or something like that. But yeah,
it was a defensive battle that game. It was a defensive game. Battle.
Yeah, but Brandon Orr was the one who he kept him in the game. It was the one who kept him in the game, and we couldn't push the ball past midfield to save our lives on the offense end. So.
No. I mean, those offenses during those years were kind of reminiscent of last year's Hurricanes teams, just not able to score points, and it was very frustrating.
We were 2005, 2006. We were top 10 in defense, and I think 2005 we were number 1 in total defense and passing defense, and it just the numbers just didn't show out when it came to the wins and losses.
It sounds like the last 2 years that we've had, though. Have a great defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. So I actually wanted to ask you about, a coach that you had all 5 years in Randy Shannon. So the first 3 years, correct? He would have been defensive coordinator, and then your last 2 he would have been head coach.
Yeah.
So can you help us, us here and then also the listener, do you have any ideas why Randy Shannon would have been so successful as a defensive coordinator, but then, why it didn't necessarily translate to being a head coach? Or, was there anything that made sense to you in that process?
2 different Randys.
Okay.
The defensive coordinator, Randy Shannon, was a fun guy, laughing, joking, getting guys ready to play. The head coach was businessman. He was one way, trying to change the program around, which I was there. I don't think the program needed changing around per se. Maybe we needed to, get some better coaches in on position side, but other than that, it just changed. He just totally changed into it was a different person. Like his head coaching was not his coordinating side.
Okay, so did you find it harder to, not you personally, but as like a position group or a defense or even a whole team, was it just harder to get up for him when he was head coach and, kind of lost that fun side to him?
Yeah. Yeah, we had some guys that were deserving of being on the team that were kicked off the team.
Okay.
Just because, just to show I guess an image or to make a statement or something like that. But it wasn't something that if I was the head coach, I would have, kicked them off the team for.
But this is Chip. He was mandated to also raise the grade point averages and graduation rates too, and he did.
Yeah, he did. It's because he told guys not to go to the NFL and come back and graduate.
So I remember they were either like just there with Stanford, or just a couple of schools away. So that's nobody else. They're not asking anybody else to do that at other schools. No. They didn't ask Frank Beamer to do that, and that's a big thing to ask.
Yeah, because then you had the whole. So with them asking them to do that, the whole thing changed to where, like take this Georgia team from last year. The guy Pickens. They say Pickens never went to